Hello, I'm Demara Stamler, and I am a transformation coach, consultant, speaker, teacher, and I absolutely love what I do. What I want to talk to you about today is the third agreement in the four agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. In the third agreement, I think we can all relate to this one pretty closely, and this is the one that's about don't make assumptions. You may remember if you saw the last video I did on the four agreements, where I talked about the second one, which was don't take things personally. These two go hand in hand for sure. At any given time, we are making assumptions, and from those assumptions, we are taking things personally. So I wanted to read a little bit from the book about this. The author, Don Miguel Ruiz, says, the problem with making assumptions is that we believe that they're true. We could swear that they're real. We make assumptions about what others are thinking. When we take it personally, we make assumptions about why they're doing what they're doing. And oftentimes we blame them and we react and we're sending this emotional, what he calls poison with our words. So we've made an assumption about what's going on and we react to it, and all kinds of not so great stuff can come out of our mouth with our words. So we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. And I love that. That makes so much sense to me. And you know, if you're thinking about it, and if you really give yourself a good talking to, you realize, yeah, we do this. You do this too. I wanted to share kind of an illustration, a story about this. There's a woman who goes to the grocery store, and she's got, you know, her groceries, and she's at the checkout, and the checker is scanning all her products. And the woman in the grocery store, she's looking at the checker, and all of a sudden realizes this person has a big scowl on their face. And the customer, the woman, is saying to her, you know, if you wouldn't mind, could you do this one separately? My friend wants to pay for this separately, so I wanted to have that. And the checker gets really irritated with her. It's like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Fine. And so she's got kind of an attitude the whole time. Maybe you've experienced this at some point in your life. And so the customer gets her groceries, and then there's a young man who helps her get her groceries to her car, because there's a lot of groceries, and she's a littler woman and a little bit older, so he's helping her out. And so he helps her get him to her car. And along the way, the customer is just going, that was the most rude person in the world. I can't believe that, you know, the store would hire such a person. That's just terrible customer service. And she's just judging her all over the place, right? And the young man was brilliant. He was wonderful. He just said, she's really, you're right. She wasn't giving good service for sure, you know, but I have to tell you, just between you and I, her son was in a car accident this morning, and she doesn't have health insurance, and I know she's really super stressed out. And in that moment, the customer, the woman who was irate and taking it personally, making assumptions, all of a sudden gets her own comeuppance, if you will, where she realizes, oh my gosh, I had no idea. I didn't understand that there was something going on. How many times do we do that? That somebody behaves in a certain way, and we've decided that they're just idiots. They don't know how to behave, and what kind of person raised them, and all sorts of things. And the reality is that we don't know the story. And that's a really great thing to fall back to when we notice that we're making an assumption and making a judgment and taking things personally, is to just pause, take a deep breath, and go, there's things here, I just don't know what's going on behind them. And I have come to the point in my life where when those sorts of things happen and I notice them, that I will just go, blessings on you. I don't know what's going on in your life, but I hope it all works out for you. In my mind, that's what I do. Sometimes I might verbalize it if it's appropriate, but so we just don't always know. And along those lines, I'll tell you that a sort of version of this, a little bit different though, that happened in my life, several years ago, when I decided that I was really looking for something more meaningful to do in my life than I was doing in the moment. And that as I was thinking about that, I was exposed to this wonderful program to be trained to be a coach, a transformation coach. And as I was pondering it, I was thinking, that would be amazing. I would love that. And I start thinking about, let me talk to them and see what's involved and how I might go about doing that. And all of a sudden, as often happens when we get ready to take a step, all of a sudden there's these thoughts in my head that are telling me, oh, wait a minute, you probably don't even have the right education for this job. You'd have to go back to school and get a whole nother degree. And my goodness, you're like almost 60. Who, that's a little bit old to be trying something new. I made assumptions. One, that to take this training, this amazing training, that I would be required to have a certain education and that I would be required to be under a certain age. I made the assumption, which could have very easily stopped me from even looking into it. Just by making those assumptions. Fortunately, there was a better part of me that said, well, find out, check it out, ask. And so I did. When I called to find out about it, I asked them and let them know right up front. I said, let me just tell you before you get too far. I don't have this education and this is how old I am. And wonderfully enough, they were beautiful about it and just said, those are not criteria. So you're good. But my life could have been very different had I listened to that part of me that was making an assumption about what was required. And instead, I decided to ask. And that's the perfect also answer to when we're making an assumption about something, an assumption about our partner in our life, whom we love. In theory, we love them, right? And we're interpreting some behavior or something they said. We're just imagining what they're meaning. When in fact, if we would just ask them, here's what I heard you say. What did you mean? So that I'm not making an assumption. And I will tell you that one important piece of this for me has been in really learning to incorporate all of these things in my life of pausing, pause, take a breath, ask yourself a question. I stay in the study. I continue to study transformation. I continue to study how to live from these principles. So staying in the study is really, really important. Being willing to ask, stay in the study. And the other thing is to just do some self-exploration. What's working in my life? What relationships in my life are working as well as I would like them to? And how might paying attention to what I'm assuming, paying attention to what I'm taking personally, paying attention to the words that I use and the energy behind them might actually transform my life. So I hope this is helpful to you. This third agreement of don't take things personally. That's the second one. And don't make assumptions. If you're interested in studying this work, I and Beth Dewey, who's also an amazing transformation coach, are teaching people how and coaching people through how to incorporate these principles in your life day to day. What are the tools you can use? We have lots more ways to navigate these things. So we have a class coming up that's actually starting this week. There's still time to get in. So click the link below and register, and I hope we'll see you there. For now, I have one more of these videos for you to do, and this one's on the fourth agreement. Always do your best, and it isn't what you think it is. So that's it for me today. I'm happy to be here with you. I hope this is helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye for now.